my friends, and welcome back to the Brightworks, another match beyond all reason. Figured I'd do a shout out earlier in the video rather than later like I usually do to point out that I have a Discord channel, and if you'd like to join in on some of the shenanigans that we do have fun on the live stream Tuesdays and Saturdays, 12 PDT, you're more than welcome to join that Discord where I announce it every single time. There'll be a nice little link down there. There's also a couple other good links to check out down there, including, but not limited to, the Beyond All Reason official Discord, which is a great place of news in case you're interested in, for instance, the Steam release, or incoming updates, or already post-processed updates. All that sort of good stuff is usually made well aware over on that side. But anyways, spawning in the backline of the blue team as an Armada commander goes by the name of Deemer DHZ, clocking in at 28 true skill and a couple of bronze chevrons here. Definitely going to be a bit of a lower skill game, or at the very least a lower experience game. I always feel bad saying a lower skill game, but I guess that is just what it is. Skill implies that it's somewhat implicit, but I believe everybody can become good at bar if they put in the time, put in the hard work. Like, for instance, our red team leader here, spawning all the way in the front lines as an Armada commander as well, and going into a vehicle bay, goes by the name of Hobo Joe. I should mention, by the way, the map that we're playing on today goes by the name of Swirly Rock. Swirly Rock version 1.1. Can you tell I'm a little bit tired today? I need a little caffeine, huh? Spent all day learning how to use a laser cutter, and that's great because now I smell like slightly burnt wood all the time. A lot of people hate the smell of a campfire, but I actually personally love it, and that's exactly what it smells like. Anyway, Hobo Joe up on the front line. Boy, we're getting off on a bit of a weird rail here on this cast early on. Maybe that's the reason why I don't do those plugs in the beginning, but oh well, I guess we'll just live with the consequences. Swirly Rock is a really cool one. It's got these interesting little tendril plants, these carnivore plants that have these little grape appendages that remind me of starfish, but you know, put down below exactly what they remind you of. But more importantly, they also have a bunch of metal inside them, which I'm sure these commanders will be using, specifically Blade Runner, for instance, here for the red team, will be using to try and get a little bit of an earlier advantage. Nice scout plane sent across right here by Fiendish Devil, our American player in green, gonna send across that scout plane and do a wonderful job of taking a peek into the backline. My goodness, the devastation to Little Skimpy's base is all-encompassing. You pretty much couldn't ask for a better early game than this. This is just about as good of an early game as any Armada commander could dream of. We've taken down every single metal extractor, all the wind turbines. Literally nothing remains right here except for the vehicle bay and the commander, which has already walked completely far forward here, neglecting the issues at home. This is a nightmare right now for Little Skippy, coming in at 1 true skill. A couple of chevrons, though, indicating at the very least a little bit of experience, so I'm surprised to see this. So sad to cry out some of the commentators, and sad it is indeed. The hero tick that managed to bring down a vehicle bay. That's a story that will be told around campfires for ages, eons, eternities. And just like that, Little Skippy sent all the way back to the Shadow Realm. Gonna be rebuilding from, yeah, essentially scratch here, I guess. We have a full metal bar, and we are getting ready to, yeah, resaturate our 3 metal extractors here, essentially as if we had just started the game off. Now, I am being very critical of a player that is at 1 true skill, so maybe it's fair to, you know, offer a little bit of leeway there, but certainly in case Little Skippy is watching this and looking for ways to improve, one such way would be to just go for a little LLT in base, just to make sure that those pesky ticks don't cause such utter devastation next time. Resbots here are going to be contributed from Blade Runner, so that's good to see. At the very least, the teamwork is high, sending those Resbots across to try and pick up this lab for our teammate, our poor unfortunate teammate, and hopefully get them back up and on their wheels. Princess Celestia moving forward. She's claimed the 3. Well, she's locked down the 3.4. Hasn't quite claimed it yet. It is important that we claim this one. You know, I'm just now realizing this game is horribly imbalanced. What a tremendous early game for the blue team, which I would consider to be, yeah, quite a bit behind as far as the true skill and the chevron values go. The chevron values start to mean a whole lot more once you get into the silver tails and the full silver values, and especially the silver star generals, yeah, indicating quite a lot of experience here on the red team versus, I guess, just a little bit more average true skill from the blue. Always a hard thing trying to balance these two numbers and balance out the teams. That's always a room for debate, but certainly as far as this one goes, I expect big things from the red team, and I'd be pretty impressed if the blue team manages to, yeah, pull one over the eyes of players that we've seen before and know to be quite strong, Hobo Joe and Blade Runner, to name some of them. Obviously, that start that we just saw right here is one such way you gain that exact advantage. Taking out an entire player for so long right here. Absolutely brutal. Not a single unit has been produced by Little Skippy. A little slow on the draw here. Maybe not familiar with the cadence of VAR, but those early scout craft and then into those light tanks is really, really important if you're going to be going for a vehicle push. Ticks do catch a constructor up here. That's lovely stuff. Man, the ticks have been ruthless this game. The little predator in the field right there. Look like a little field mouse, but man, they hit like a truck. Away they go across the plains. That's a hero unit right there if I've ever seen one. That and the tick that got the kill on that bot lab, or that vehicle lab, pardon me. You'll love to see it. Surprised no one trans to claim this. Transport shipped over there to claim that, or used in the air transport is what the spectator is pointing out right here. Some people have asked me to keep more attention on the spectator chat. I find it's a little distracting, so I just ignore it, but I leave it in case, you know, somebody points something out and you want to read that and figure that out for yourselves. I'm always more than game to let that happen. Sometimes people tell on themselves too. They just reveal that they're not exactly the most kind or compassionate in the team chat, and I'm all for letting people tell on themselves. That's my go-to for sure. Big old blitz push. We keep getting off topic here. As if you know, I wasn't leading the charge here. Big old blitz push right here in the middle of the map. This is effectively the green player versus the red and yellow. Well, you know, maybe that's not fair to say. Koyenskaya, the powder blue player, has had those wonderful tick run-bys, but it has left the army at the front a little bit in need of a little more. We do have Rocketeers heading up here eventually. They are pretty scuffed up here. I'd love to see maybe a repair command from the commander, trying to put those back into high health. But for the time being, the blitzes will move up north to try and catch some of these static defenses, and blasting those down is quite nice. A little late on the D-gun there, but that's all right. Yeah, blitz is going to be good enough to shut down those LLTs without suffering too much damage. We only lost one of them. One blitz for one LLT. If I'm not mistaken, it's a pretty fair trade. Pretty fair trade overall. No, I just realized I might not be using the right... No, I am. Okay. I was worried I wasn't using the right microphone. That's happened before. Better to check that 7 minutes into a cast than 40. Princess Celestia with 0 pushback. I guess that's not fair. There's apparently been a battle. Robert Zero has been fending for his life over here, trying desperately to keep this base alive, and does manage to keep this base alive. It's well worth noting. And now has a bunch of metal in base right here, so picking all that up and actually using it right now would be tremendous. Obviously, this commander very far forward is exposed. There's no units to protect Celestia's commander right now. She certainly would be worse off right now if, suddenly finding themselves surrounded by a bunch of enemy units. Celestia taking over multiple roles right here. One of the reasons why I'm sure that commander is a little mismicroed, or mal-microed, I should say. Not necessarily the wrong idea to push forward with the commander, but keeping units around, keeping them in position. It takes a lot of APM, and oftentimes managing the air forces while also microing a commander can be very, very APM intensive. Only really the best of the best can manage to do that effectively, with most of the rest of us, myself well included, typically scrounging for whatever APM we can find in our catalogs. Powder Blue Commander falls here to the army of Blade Runner. It's the power of those Rocketeers. They can essentially infinitely kite against the commander. It's a tricky dance back and forth, but eventually, almost always, once those Rocketeers build up to numbers, I would say probably close to, I want to say 5 to 10 is kind of the lethal range. I mean, obviously more is always going to be better, but yeah, I would say probably once you get up to maybe 7 or so of those Rocketeers, you start to get into the danger zone for commanders, where they can almost always guaranteedly hit a shot, and that's 4% off a commander's health bar. Every shot that they take, it ends up costing you quite a lot. Massive blitz play right here. We transported the commander up to the front lines, by the way, for Celestia, the second commander up to the front lines. I'll go check in on that here shortly. Blitz push will be negated here. There are some wind turbines that went down right there, so that's a bit of a bummer. Cutting a little bit of the energy production here for the red player, but all said and done, I don't think it's the end of the world. This is the biggest bummer. That constructor that was building this geothermal and almost finished it. Oh, interesting. We've got a nice little graphic. Oh, look how nice that is. Decaying in 2 minutes and 26 seconds. That's quite nice. It actually tells you when this thing will be obliterated or reduced to atoms. That's good to see. That was a little unclear, so I'm glad to see that that's getting a little graphical update. Man, I feel like we're in another Renaissance period. I feel like we're definitely in a period right now where everything is getting a little touch-up, a little tweak. I've seen some changes to solar panels, some of the Legion solar panels that are going to be released soon, if not already. And I am just stoked to see that go in. But also the Armada solar panel getting its little turning thing so that it angles towards the light source. There's just so many little details that are so minor, but also add so much charm to the game, and I think that's really lovely to see. Definitely an excellent place to, or an excellent time rather, to, I guess it's an excellent time space to join Beyond All Reason if you haven't already. If you're maybe on the fence about getting it, obviously the first argument would be that it's free. You lose nothing except maybe a little bit of time. But maybe in case you needed a little bit more. An excellent golden era of rapid onset development. Nice push right here from the Yellow Commander, sending some of these medium tanks accompanying a couple of the Rocketeers here, which all go up in a massive explosion surrounding that geothermal, but that's a-okay. Those Rocketeers did their job, and I think that was effectively just to snipe that geothermal. Their job, that is. Medium tanks here now going to continue running away. These will eventually be dealt with, but eventually really being the golden word right there. Shurikens in the sky. Okay, yeah, shurikens are great. Mitigate some of that damage, buys you the time that you desperately need in order to actually kill those medium tanks. Fortunately, only essentially once that medium tank was destroyed did it actually get paralyzed, but that's okay. It's the thought that counts. This army is looking tremendous. A tremendous play right here from the pink and red players, both working together. You can see the blue team completely caught off guard by this aggression right here. They were expecting to go up against a little bit less. This player in pink right here goes by the name of Perseus, has actually just built a tremendous army and sent it up north as opposed to contesting this hill. Definitely a failure of strategy from the blue team to recognize that as quickly as they needed to. That being said, though, I guess it's also partially due to this T2 transition on the backline right here. No such T2 transition for the pink player right here. We do have T2 from the red commander, but most of that is funded by the wreckage of the enemy. Definitely a very efficient trade right there. This dual commander setup over here is actually quite menacing. Obviously, one commander is manageable once you get a decent enough army up, but with unit support plus the extra commanders on the front, it can be very difficult to push into that because almost assuredly, any commander kill that you get is going to mean the total destruction of your army that you use to kill it with. And if there's a second commander, it means that they're not out of the game quite as quickly as you'd hoped. Tank seeking refuge behind this lab so that it doesn't get D-gunned here. Yeah, Roberto put in a weird spot where to get the most efficient D-gun angle, we'd have to fire through the lab, which is obviously not ideal. Instead, we're going to opt to not fire the D-gun whatsoever, taking the damage on the commander, and boom goes the purple commander right here. Celestia instantly pulls the trigger and sends her dual commander onslaught forward to deal with the remaining units here. I love this move. Yeah, you know what? The dual commanders can actually be a blessing in disguise. Once you have them up on the front line and they're working in unison, they can be extremely, extremely efficient here. I love to see it. Yeah, Shuriken getting just blasted out of the sky by the lasers. When in doubt, laser beam it out. Yeah, Shuriken trying to blast the commander. That's not really going to work as well as maybe you hope it will. Commander's extremely resistant to EMP. Frankly, I'm not even entirely sure why commanders are EMP-able in the first place. I feel like they qualify as T3 units. I suppose it's nice, though. Offers you a little bit more tactical variety. Blitzes pushing forward on the southern side, catching these T2 transitions before they really manage to pop up here. A couple of hounds have been pumped out already, but nothing too tremendous. Certainly not enough to catch a bunch of blitzes. And just like that, the backline eco is ravaged. We have the LLT down, the advanced mechs down. We have solar panels being bombarded now. There's a medium tank all over the place, and the red team is just showing us how important that aggression is. Rapid onset lightning tank transition right here from the tan commander, who's decided to put all her cards into the T2 Armada vehicle basket, and I think that's an excellent play. Lightning tanks now ravaging the economy right here of the blue player. This is a devastating attack right here. That Aphis was the Hail Mary that the blue team was counting on in order to get to T3 and eventually get back into this game. With the fall of that Aphis right here, this is looking unwinnable. Blitz is continuing to do damage all over the place, and the blue team is forced into a situation where they need to go for an all-in attack. They need to send everything they have across the map to do a whole bunch of damage, but all they have are a bunch of ruined bases. Yeah, not a whole lot here for the blue team whatsoever. We do have a T2 lab up on this high ground right here. I think the critical failure right here, I want to get analytical about this for a second. I think the critical failure right here on the behalf of the blue team was everybody went for T2, where in all reality we need two people to go T2 and just pass out those T2 constructors. I think that's what happened here. I think everybody went T2 and paid for their own T2 labs before getting those T2 metal extractors up and running. And I think what that meant was that everybody essentially ended up putting way more metal into economy and tech than, as a team, rather. The thousands and thousands of metal team-wide went into tech, where the red team put them all out on the field as units, and that advantage eventually manifested itself as a completely collapsed blue opponent. Resign vote goes through over here, and I think that's well placed here. With the front lines completely destroyed, production at a standstill, nothing to hold the front lines as more and more units stream through, and the economy collapsing to boot on the back of it all. It's no wonder that the red team manages to take today's victory in this game of Beyond All Reason. What an excellent showcase of just how important that aggression is, and also how important coordinating that tech transition is. Getting those T2 units propagated, and that especially that T2 economy propagated, very, very nice. And as well, we're earning a golden cow here, Princess Celestia, for the doing everything, inheriting an extra base and putting it well to use. Always love to see that. If you enjoyed this game of Beyond All Reason, feel free to let me know. If you didn't, I guess you can feel free to let me know that as well down below. But I sure hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.